absolutely love Welcome to Demon School Iruma-Kun. This is generally one of the sweetest anime I've watched. Whenever I'm kind of down and I don't really know what to do, I just watch Iruma-Kun. To me, this is the comfort anime to watch. I just love it because of how Iruma is. It's not only that he grows as a person, but the person he is just amazing. And I just think that everyone should try to be a bit like Iruma. So, what does it mean to be like Iruma? Well, Iruma is the best. He's had the worst life in the world, being constantly used by his parents in get-rich-quick schemes, being forced to pay off their debts, being left to fend for himself in the wilderness, and eventually actually being sold off to an actual demon because they wanted some cash. And now he's in the netherworld surrounded by demons who all want to eat humans, so if he's found out for being a human, he's gone, just all gobbled up. Yet, despite all of this, he's extremely optimistic. And yes, we see this optimism against crazy odds in practically every shonen anime. That's one of the main points of shonen anime. But compared to other similar shonen MCs like My Hero's Midoriya and Mashl's Mash, Iruma was really thrown in a shredder. Usually the backstory consists of bullying or not fitting in at school, which are bad, but more of a basic sad backstory that more people can relate to. And Midoriya doesn't have to worry about dying if people find out he's using One For All. And yes, Mash does if people find out he can't use magic, but his childhood consists of just chilling with his grandpa. Neither of them have the double wombo combo of terrible future and a terrible past, and basically all shonen of this caliber, the sweet, more chill comedy-based ones, none of them have such great difference between backstory and personality that Iruma does. Mainly because shonen are trying to get the audience to resonate with the main character. Why do you think there's so many cookie-cutter stereotypes in isekai? But this anime doesn't care about trying to let you connect with Iruma, but instead tries to show you how it's possible to keep moving forward despite everything that has happened to you. And yes, this is a fictional character, but hey, hope is hope, and any perseverance is good perseverance. And let me tell you, Iruma can persevere. Through this anime, Iruma learns how to enjoy life. He never had the chance when he was younger, always doing crazy things for his parents, but when he is taken away and actually treated with love and respect by his new demon granddad, he had the chance to learn how to love life. And even with all that optimism, he is just genuinely the nicest person I've seen in anime. Like, honestly, maybe a bit too nice. He's a complete pushover, and this is a running theme at least in the first season of the anime. His niceness is what allows him to excel in the demon world because compared to the other unkind, uncaring, uninterested demons of the netherworld, Iruma actually cares about others, and because of this, he excels. 9 out of 10 times, ignoring the overpowered ring he just so happens to gain, Iruma succeeds through friendship or just being a good person. An example, when he was trying to get his class to be in the Royal One, a super important classroom that the last Demon Lord used, it was thanks to his kindness of actually every single faculty member at the Demon School that allowed him to gain access to it. They needed signatures of every staff member, and because he's just a stand-up guy, they were more than willing to sign him off because he was just so great and always helped them out whenever they needed it. In the first arc before he gets his overpowered ring, he manages to save a classmate's life and complete a test. Because instead of fighting or running for his life against a giant demonic bird, he heals the giant demonic bird, who then helps him win. Why did he do this? Because the poor bird was injured and he wanted to make it better. That's it. No other demon, hell, maybe even person would do something like this, but Iruma did. And even before that, when he became friends with Clara, which we'll cover in more depth later, he was the first person to be nice with her, and not just use her for her bloodline ability, so she became one of his closest friends. And because of that, he got an overpowered ally because she can recreate any item with her magic pockets as long as she's seen it before, which is just a busted ability. Now, there are more parts than just optimism and kindness to being like Iruma. But to fully talk about all of those, I have to cover a lot more about the themes and such in this anime itself. So to keep some engagement by dangling how else to be like Iruma above your heads, and so I can talk more about why this anime is so great in more detail, I'll be saving the rest of this section for later. But for now, let's talk about how Iruma grew as a character and a person. Like I said before, Iruma started out a bit bad. He was a complete pushover that anytime anyone said please to him, he'd do anything they'd ask of him. He didn't know how to fit in anywhere, mainly because he never had a place to begin with, and he was thrusted into a new, dangerous environment. So he really didn't know how to be a person at all. But this anime really lets Iruma grow. Not just slowly building different life lessons, but he also learns new things about old life lessons that he's already learned, and I find that just amazing. Now, when I was originally going to make this video, I was only going to be talking about season 1, so then you could watch the other seasons on your own after. But then after I finished watching season 1, I started watching season 2. And then season 3. Was I watching them because I was procrastinating writing my script? Maybe. But also because after I finished season 1, I just really wanted to watch more. Again, this is easily one of my all-time favorites, so once I started watching, I couldn't stop. So I'm going to be talking about Iruma's growth through all the seasons because I honestly think that'd be a better video. And of course that means there's going to be spoilers, but this anime is good enough to watch despite that, and I'll be covering everything without spoiling as much as possible. So with that, let's talk about every way Iruma grew in order. The first way he actually grew as a person comes from the Execution Cannonball section. Well, there was this whole other arc before it, but that was mainly world building and showing off Iruma's new friends. The Execution Cannonball section is where he actually grows and changes from his original useless, pushover, and unambitious state. This arc primarily consists of Iruma training for a game of Execution Cannonball, which is just dodgeball. By winning, or at least doing good in the game, Iruma can raise his rank, and for demons, the higher the rank, the stronger and more respectable a demon you are. So with his goal of raising his rank, he needs to be good at the game. So he trains like hell and actually works his hardest to achieve something that he himself wanted to do that isn't just surviving. And through all the terribly hard training he had to go through, he manages to win in the end. His friends didn't even help by purposely throwing, and he didn't even use the super powerful magic ring he has. He won of his own accord and proved himself with his own strength. And what he learned is how good it feels to work for something and achieve it. After putting in tremendous amounts of work, he got gratification. And for Iruma, that's a first. And that's awesome. Some things could give you instant gratification, or you could cheat to make tasks easier. But in the end, it feels the best when you work your hardest at something and achieve it through your own strength. The next arc is the Family Day arc. This arc covers despair. So there's this one character who loves watching people in despair. I mean, they're in the netherworld, so there's gotta be some really messed up demons in there, and this guy definitely is one of them. But Iruma's been put in a scenario where it looks like there's nothing he can do. He's stuck in an attic with the main baddie of this arc, where the entire student body, including many of his friends, are trapped in the central plaza. And there's this bomb that's about to go off, and well, everyone's gonna go boom. And worse off, the person that is the main bad guy is someone that Iruma trusted. So it became an insane et brute moment where someone he trusted stabbed him in the back because he wanted to see the fun, loving, happy Iruma in complete despair. But what did Iruma do? Did he just sit back and fall completely into despair? No. Iruma doesn't despair. After spending an entire life of hell before he even went to hell, it's practically impossible for him to feel despair anymore. And he says one of the best lines of this anime, which is, "Despairing isn't going to change the situation, and it won't make me fulfilled. I have to take action for myself." And then he proceeds to save the day in the only way Iruma can, by just being awesome, and jumping off a roof to launch the bomb away without even caring about how he'd survive the fall. He's just great like that. And that right there is a lesson that helped me out loads of times. When everything around you starts falling apart and everything looks hopeless, don't fall into despair. Do what you can and change what you must, because despairing will just waste your time. Create your own happiness in any way you can. And this is one of my favorite takeaways from this anime. And the next lesson Iruma learns is about getting what he wants. Now, Iruma himself didn't learn it, but more of an evil version of Iruma, where instead of being a complete pushover, he instead is actually a go-getter and gets what he wants. And through these actions of being evil, at least compared to normal Iruma, he got what he wanted. The class he's in, the Misfit class, is filled with just odd people, which is a good thing for a show where having specialized characters around you is a good thing. But if you stand out in school, that's a different story. The Misfits class was completely unrespected by anyone at the school, where they would always push them around and leave trash near their classroom. Hell, the school itself didn't even respect them because they got the worst, most run-down classroom on campus. So when Iruma went evil, he had enough. He didn't want his friends and himself to be treated this poorly anymore. So he marched to the teacher's area and demanded the best classroom in the entire school. The Royal One, the classroom that the last Demon Lord used. So he was given an impossible task by his teacher, which was collect permission slips from every single faculty member saying that they supported the Misfits class use of the Royal One. And with some underhanded evilness, but loads of actual work showing growth and ability of his classmates, eventually all faculty members gave them permission and they gained access to the Royal One. And here, Iruma wasn't really himself. Mainly because he was placed under a spell from his rings familiar to be more evil. But Iruma was just being a go-getter. And this point on, though he's not evil Iruma anymore, he still goes for what he wants and asserts himself more. Where here, the lesson for all of you is don't be a pushover. Helping people out is nice, but don't let everyone walk all over you. Stand up for yourself and get what you want. And again, this is a really nice lesson to live by. The next thing that Iruma learns, and is a very important thing to learn that builds off a previous arc, where he fails to do this, is don't sacrifice yourself. Now, demons don't usually help others. If there's nothing one gains by helping another, they don't. And seeing as Iruma is the nicest, sweetest, most pure-hearted person, he hates that about demons. So multiple times he goes out of his way to save people, which puts him in dangerous situations. Like that time where he jumped off a roof to save all his friends from exploding. But now that he has more friends that he cares about and that really care about him, what do you think happens when Iruma puts himself in danger? They put themselves in danger to try to help him because they care about him. This happens during the amusement park arc, where he desires to help random denizens of the netherworld and his friends try to help. They help to fight a big monster, but get hurt and almost die in the process. And this gets to Iruma. He's so used to putting himself in danger that he doesn't care anymore. But when he sees his friends do the same thing, where their very lives are at risk, it destroys him because he can't handle losing any of his dear friends. So he learns that sacrificing himself can put those he holds closest in danger as well. And though none of you will probably be fighting against giant monsters anytime soon, the point still stands in other aspects. Overworking yourself on projects where your friends try to help you out only to inevitably be overworked themselves. Or something like that. But anyways, when you have friends that care for you to the extent that Iruma's do for him, they will help you out when you're in trouble. So don't put yourself in so much trouble that you risk hurting your friends over it. And again, this lesson is less widely applicable, but I still think it's a nice one to keep in mind, at least. And this next lesson is somewhat similar to the lesson where Iruma learned that working for and achieving your goals feels amazing. But it's different, because what if the work is boring and hard, where you put in a lot of time and effort, but you fail constantly until the end? Well, if it were a demon doing the task, they would give up. Demons only do things that entertain them. If something is boring or too hard, they just give up and move on, because what's the point in using all that time up over something that's possibly a pointless endeavor? And if you haven't caught on yet, demons are a stand-in for people who really don't care enough about anything. And Iruma was placed in such a scenario. All of the Misfit class students were split up and given mentors to help them get stronger. Unluckily for Iruma, his mentor really didn't care much and spent most of the time making him an errand boy. Lead, the classmate he was paired up with, couldn't handle it, so he left for a different mentor. But Iruma stuck through, and eventually his mentor helped him get way stronger. Now, I'm not saying let yourself get walked on. They even address this in the anime by calling him an idiot. Stand up for yourself a bit, you know? But what happened after is what's important. The training was to be skilled at summoning and using a magic bow. That took loads of work, first creating and then actually using our entire sagas of their own. And when his mentor tried to teach other demons in the past, they all gave up because of how pointless it all felt. But Iruma stayed through all the training and worked through all the practice until he was able to use an insane ability. All thanks to him sticking through everything. So basically, even though something might seem pointless, time-consuming, and sometimes just plain stupid, if the end goal is good enough, stick through and use the indomitable human will to achieve your goal. Even if it's so boring that you'd have way more fun just giving up. And an extremely relatable way everyone can look at this is through school. That stuff is boring and no one likes school. But in the end, sticking through it will help you out massively in the end, so it's more than worth it to just hold strong throughout. So yeah, a very good life lesson indeed. And for the final lesson so far, what he learned here is that trauma shouldn't hold him back. And also friendship is awesome, but that's way more basic, so I'm just going to be talking about the other one. Basically, there's this one dude that has the power to make other people experience trauma as a hallucination, but it feels very real. And that power seems a bit crazy for the show, but they're demons, so of course that'd be a power. Anyways, Iruma's confronted with both images of his parents and his friends abandoning him. His parents seemingly found a way into the netherworld in order to use him more, and those friends and all the safety that he's built up in the netherworld fell apart because all his friends tell him that he's worthless for lying and that he should just leave. So he becomes terrified. Just like in the previous lesson where he was terrified of losing his friends and everything that he's gained. All that fear consumes him, where he's left completely helpless and alone for the first time in a long time. But what does Iruma do? He fights back. He stands up against all his fear, all his loneliness, and all his trauma, and actually shoots right through all of it. Quite literally fighting his fear head on and confronts it all at once, where he no longer needs to fear his past nor worry about the future that is likely not to come, but instead creates the best future for himself. And fear is something that holds many back, and I sure as hell know I've dealt with that. Fight your fears head on and don't let them hold you back so you can create the future you want to be in. And again, that's really good advice, and the last bit of advice for this anime out so far. But it wasn't only Iruma that grew. No. This anime wouldn't be complete if only one of its characters became a better person. Because if you're a truly awesome person like Iruma, the people around you grow and become better people as well. And this anime 100% grows all characters involved. So let's start with the first friend Iruma made, with As Asmodeus, or Az for short. Before meeting Iruma, he had no friends. Through childhood and at school, he was completely unapproachable due to his pure strength. I mean, he's the most talented student at Babylos, and so no one ever became his friends because he seemed way too out of their league. I mean, he challenged Iruma day one just because he spoke to the class instead of him. But luckily for Az, Iruma defeated him in a fight without even taking a single hit. And after that, Az swore his loyalty to Iruma and does everything in his power to take care of him. Now, it might seem a bit odd for someone with no friends to instantly befriend the person who humiliated him in front of the entire student body, but if you think for a second, it indeed makes sense. First off, and the weaker reason, if a demon is defeated in battle, the normal thing to do would be for them to swear loyalty to the person who defeated them. I just kind of found it weird to the extent that Az did it. But if you remember what he said before about how Az never had a friend before due to his assumed superiority, so in walks a guy who you couldn't even hit. Boom. Superiority gone. And finally, that person can be your friend. And if you look at it in that light, Az and Iruma becoming crazy close friends makes absolute sense. And finally, touching on the growth of Az, due to Iruma, he actually changed for the better. He dropped his superiority guard and befriended basically all of the demons in the Misfit class, so his friend stocks went through the roof. He learned that he actually really isn't superior, because not only did Iruma defeat him, but he also died trying to help Iruma, so he wasn't as strong enough for that. And he just genuinely became happier. Without his guard up, he could experience new things and he even grow stronger in new ways, so thanks to Iruma, he prospered. The next friend he made is Clara. Her first friend was also Iruma. Throughout her childhood, whenever she made friends, none of them were real friends. She has an ability that allows her to create a copy of any item she's seen before. And on top of that, she's super hyper, so many people can't keep up with her. So all her friends will just use her to get free things without actually caring for her. But she's super playful, so she really wanted to have friends. So she let herself be used because the only other option is just playing alone. And so when Iruma came into the picture being the pushover he is, he played with her every time she asked him nicely. And because Iruma is the godsend he is, he didn't use her for her ability, but actually just played with her and became her first friend. And I mean for real, he was both their first friends. When he called them his friends, they didn't know what he was talking about. You could say that's because they're demons and they don't have a concept of friendship, but other demons knew what friendship was later in the anime, so that's just sad. Anyways, Claire is one of the main love interests in this anime, along with Amari. They try to shove in others, but everyone knows that these two are the only ones that matter. I would have added a section for Amari, but I cut it for time, so yeah. But I really like both of them, and I don't know who to root for, honestly. Anyways, back to Clara. She grew by strengthening her power and gaining more friends as well. She had less reason to strengthen her power early on because she was mainly focused on playing, but when we got to season 3 and Iruma became stronger than her, she really wanted to prove herself to him by becoming as strong as possible to be at the same level, which is a really tall order. But to strengthen her ability, she inverses it, and instead of pulling things out of her magic pocket, she pulls people into it. So she straight up is like domain expansion, infinite playtime. And I honestly just love how that works out. It's just so Clara. And anytime she's on screen, she pulls everything into her world where everything gets more cartoony just by her being there, with multiple songs sung by her and her family. I honestly love it because that's just so her, but some people might find it a bit annoying. But yeah, thanks to her befriending Iruma, she became friends with everyone in the Misfit class and grew stronger as a demon and better as a person by gaining way more playmates and having just way more fun. So Iruma is the best. And now to quickly cover everyone else, we have the entirety of the Misfits class. Now, they aren't really shown off much in the first season, just placed there to have cool looking background characters with funny personalities, but come the second season and especially the third season, all of them grow as characters. Now, as I said before, Iruma got the Misfit class moved to the Royal One, but he didn't do this alone. He needed the help of the entire class to do so, and through the help of all of them, we got to see some growth. Saburo, this big guy, showed that he didn't need strength to prove himself, and he learned compassion is just as important. We saw the lead show off his true strength by being a guy in a game whose ability is just he's super lucky. And we got even more of the classmates to show off their abilities. And because they gained the Royal One, they became respected by the student body. They were completely trashed on before, well, literally, but now they seem as powerful by everyone. All thanks to Iruma utilizing their strengths. And even after that, to pass their exams instead of studying and struggling in their lonesome, thanks to seeing the determination of Iruma, the stupidest of them all, they decided to put in more effort as well as studying as hard as possible to all pass. And they worked together, teaching each other their own strengths and subjects so everyone can pass together. And even after that, because they all became strong through studying and gaining the Royal One, when a big incident happened at the amusement park, all of them fight different monsters in groups in order to save people. And because they all worked together, they all got to show off how much stronger they've become. And even after that, now in Season 3, all of them paired up and got specialized instructors to train them and make them stronger. Normally, demons would give up if the going gets tough, but to prove themselves and not let the others down, everyone stayed through their grueling training and became way stronger after the fact, and became just the strongest group in all of Babylon. All because Iruma was there and set everything into motion, the entire Misfit class became way stronger, and better people in general, all thanks to Iruma. And of course there's the teacher, but for time's sake, he was mean and evil and didn't want to do anything for them, but in the end he started actually caring for them and wanting to make them stronger, so instead of giving them normal evil, he just gave them really tough love to make them all succeed, which is very nice. So then let's review and talk about how you should be like Iruma. We're finishing off the section from before just like I said we would. I actually remembered it. But to be like Iruma, you have to learn things from life. Life itself is a lesson where every action and consequence that happens is a teachable moment. Don't just let all that free experience go to waste and learn from the things you do. Like how Iruma learned he probably shouldn't constantly be putting himself in danger because he almost lost one of his closest friends because of that. The next thing is be optimistic and persevere. Life is tough. The chance for someone to have a carefree life is 100 million to 1. But knowing that, you should try and push yourself through. Even if the worst possible outcome is staring you in the face, just shoot through your fears and beat it, just like Iruma did. Next, you've got to uplift others. If the only one succeeding around you is yourself, that's great for you, but it's best to help others become great as well. Now, I'm not saying to stretch yourself thin and help anyone out anytime they ask for help. Even Iruma grew out of that. But just be there for them and be a light in their lives to show that if you put in enough effort, anyone can succeed, like Iruma did with the entire Misfits class. And finally, just love life. There are gonna be problems around every corner, but that doesn't mean they can't be dealt with. Love life, strive to find joy and obtain what makes you happy. That's what life's about, finding happiness. And yeah, I just really love the show. Whenever I'm feeling down, I just sit down and watch it. It's my comfort show for a reason, and I just wanted to show it off to all of you so that maybe you can find as much joy in it as I have. But yeah, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can subscribe if you want. But anyways, I'm Ayanelli, and bye-bye.